I may be giving some spoilers away, so if you have not seen this film yet and you don't want it spoiled for you, I would suggest you watch this film first and then come back and hear this review. Swamp Thing was created by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson. First made his appearance in the comic book House of Secrets before moving into the DC universe. I guess DC thought, well, since Marvel had their superhero that was a monster, the Incredible Hulk, we can have our superhero that is a monster. The film begins with Alice Cable, played by Adrienne Barbeau. A government agent is sent to the far regions of the swamps to protect a brilliant scientist named Alec Holland, played by Ray Wise, who is working in a laboratory with his sister Linda. And they come up with a unique formula that can combine the elements of plant and animals' DNA together. But then they're evaded by mercenaries led by Anton Arcane, played by Louis Jourdan. Linda is killed, and Alec has the formula he made splashed all over him, and it mutates him into Swamp Thing. And now he's this vegetable-like, plant-like creature with these unique abilities. And that's about all I'm going to say. Is Swamp Thing good? It's entertaining, yes. Does it reach the level of greatness that was Richard Donner's Superman and Tim Burton's Batman? No. No, it doesn't. Well, I'll give this movie credit for trying it, for trying to get another DC comic book character out there. The only one known at the time on the big screen was Superman, that starred Christopher Reeve. Wes Craven, who was not yet known as an iconic director, he was just known for directing B-movie horror films. He wanted to prove he could do a more mainstream film. He didn't reach iconic status with... He would later reach iconic status with Nightmare on Elm Street, which came 2 years after Swamp Thing. I like the way he directs it, not like a superhero film, but like a horror film. It feels like one of those old-time monster movies. But I gotta say, Adrienne Barbeau was good as Cable. I mean, she's a tough female. I mean, but then they show moments where she's very vulnerable. But I guess it doesn't want to throw her in as just as the damsel in distress. I think they're trying to say, even in the roughest situations, even the most experienced people don't always know what to do. Ray Wise was good as Alec Holland. I like Wes Craven's storytelling, that he sets up the character of Alec Holland, and we get to know him before he becomes Swamp Thing. I like the way Ray Wise portrays him as a brilliant, but tries never to let it all go to his head. And you probably know they did the Incredible Hulk thing with two different people playing the same character. They did Dick Durock plays Swamp Thing because of his almost 6'6" frame, and he's good. I mean, he really has you believe that they're the same character, even when we know they're played by two different characters. Action scenes were pretty okay, even though at times they seem dated. And Dick Durock's Swamp Thing outfit doesn't look that real. It looks very rubbery. In spots, the rubbery is very noticeable, but I know it follows in the sequels and later on years that the outfit looked more real and plant-like. David Hess was good as Ferret. Ooh, very good at playing a sadistic mercenary, so devil-may-care slime ball. I mean, there are one or two scenes he does kind of downplay his character, but you just don't like him, and I'm sure the audience back in 1982 was probably giving a standing ovation when he finally gets his comeuppance. Let me tell you, that was a real headache. And I like the way this movie doesn't really enter in silly territory. It tries to take itself seriously. I mean, the plot is ridiculous, but it never goes in real camping territory. That's saved for the sequel that came out 7 years later, that titled Return of Swamp Thing, and I don't know, the less said about that the better. But amazingly, that movie catapulted Swamp Thing's popularity. I thought it'd be this film, but no, it was the campy sequel that nobody liked that catapulted its popularity. Because after that came a TV series with Dick Durock reprising his role, and a cartoon series. Now I gotta say, there's a cool monster-like transformation when... Oh, I forgot to comment on Louis Jourdan's performance. Pretty good as Arcane. He's very menacing, has this cool calm and collectiveness about him that really sells the character well. I'm still amazed how we got roped into this. Wes Craven must have did some major convincing to convince a well-known French actor like Louis Jourdan to portray Arcane, but I gotta say, Arcane really... I'm sorry. Jourdan as Arcane, really has quite a presence. Even more of a presence than the guy who played Arcane in the TV series. I don't think he has quite the presence that Louis Jourdan does. And another co-star I like would be Reggie Batts as Jude. He is just so funny with his deadpanish expressions. I think when he auditioned for this role, I don't think he was even trying to be funny, but he just probably made Wes Craven laugh when he just responded in everything with a deadpanish tone. And my question is, why does Jude help Cable after the goons nearly shoot up his gas station? Well, my only theory on that was that Wes Craven liked Reggie Batts to the point where he would that he decided to give him a bigger role. That's the only explanation I had. And one critic on YouTube named Philmaster Adams said this film doesn't really end, it just kind of stops. Well, I gotta disagree with that. I felt the ending was speaks for itself. This is about a man discovers what he's become and what his life is like now, and he accepts it with such grace. I like that ending. It's not a happy ending, but it's an ending that I think that worked for the film. A lot of changes from the comic book that were made. I'm sure Wes Craven read the comic books. In the comic book, Alice Cable was Matthew Cable, and Linda was Alex's wife, not his sister. And Arcane, definitely a nemesis of the Swamp Thing, but was not the cause of his transformation like it was in the movie. But I don't care. These changes are minor. It didn't really hurt the story in any way. I think Swamp Thing is a good film. It may or may not be remade. If it does, I hope they don't go with a CGI creation. It worked for the Hulk. I don't know if it would work for Swamp Thing, so I give the movie an 8 out of 10. Bye-bye.